Right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar. This is Being Tobacco Free, How Colleges and Universities Can Meet the Gold Star Standards of Excellence. My name is Sarah Mayberry, and I'm here with my colleague Meg Netto to provide insight and an overview of the 2017 Gold Star Standards of Excellence program. Just wanted to start out with a few housekeeping items about the webinar. All participants are going to be muted throughout. We're going to be answering questions at the end of the webinar, but we don't want you to lose them if you're partway through and have a good question. So make sure you can enter it in at any time in the questions section of the GoToWebinar control panel on the right side of your screen, and we'll be tracking those and hopefully be able to have a good discussion at the end. Also, we will be recording today's webinar, and we will be posting it on the Breathe Easy Coalition YouTube channel at youtube.com/sfhousing. And there will also be a link sent out to you as a participant from today's webinar. So just to give you a little bit of overview of what we're going to talk about during the next hour, we're going to give a little bit of background about who the coalition is and the program, give some key talking points about the case for smoke and tobacco-free college and university campus policies, provide some data on the current landscape of college and university policies in Maine and the country, and then really dive into the 2017 Gold Star Standards, going through each of the 10 as well as some tips for how to address them. Then we'll talk about a few resources available, important dates, and then get to those questions. So just to start out, this is a program of the Breathe Easy Coalition of Maine, which is working to reduce exposure to secondhand smoke through the promotion of strong voluntary policies that lead to reduced tobacco use and increased tobacco-free living. This is one of 4 target environments, being colleges and universities. There's also efforts in behavioral health, hospitals and healthcare, and multi-unit housing. And this is a program of the Maine Health Center for Tobacco Independence's Tobacco Prevention Services grant, which is part of the Maine Prevention Services. So I want to give a little bit of background about why we're talking about tobacco-free colleges and universities. Why is this important as we lead up to getting into our Gold Star standards? We know that tobacco use remains the leading cause of preventable disease and death in the United States. This is something that we continue to see data on, and we still see about 1 in 5 Maine adults continuing to use tobacco products. We want to create policies that change the social norm for tobacco use and make it really about healthier lifestyles and promote wellness. So this is an opportunity. We know it's really important to have this happen at colleges and at university campuses because 98% of tobacco users began using tobacco products before the age of 26. So this is really the time when we want to be in the prevention stage where we're keeping people from experimenting with tobacco and the strong addictive properties of it. Also, this is something you can do as part of your green initiatives. You can go tobacco-free to reduce litter. Cigarette butts are actually one of the most littered items in the United States, and the cigarette butt filters are not biodegradable and can stay out in services for long periods of time. And we've heard from many universities that have gone tobacco-free that one of the positive benefits has been the fact that they've had a reduced costs related to university upkeep and trash removal from cigarette butts. One of the other key components about creating a smoke and tobacco-free environment is that it removes secondhand smoke from the air. We know that there is no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke, that even brief exposure can cause damage that can lead to serious disease and death. We know that there are over 7,000 chemicals in secondhand smoke, and at least 69 of which are known to cause cancer in humans. And one of the things that we think is really important about why you want to go beyond state law that covers indoor environments for being smoke-free is some research that has been done that shows that smoking within 20 feet of a non-smoker outdoors can be as high of the harmful levels of toxins as there are in indoor environments. So this shows us that that significant health risk still applies to that outdoor setting. And there's been significant research done out of Repace Associates out in California and Stanford University, showing the fact that those toxins don't automatically dissipate if we're in an outdoor environment. So we need to make sure we're extending those policies to cover our entire campuses. Addressing tobacco-free policies and really making them comprehensive is an opportunity to go beyond state law as well in addressing those non-smoked traditional tobacco products. You can address the emerging products that are really important, and also that we're seeing really high tobacco use, really high use rates up from youth and young adults. So thinking of electronic nicotine delivery systems, we also know them by the acronym ENDS, and these products could include e-cigarettes, vaporizers, vape pens, hookah pens, or e-pipes. And under the main smoking laws and how they're covered there, they're also known as electronic smoking devices. As we've mentioned, they've gained popularity between youth and young adults. They can lead to nicotine addiction and negative health impacts. And these products are still so new, and the FDA is just starting to look into them, that we don't know exactly what's happening within them, what toxins exist, but also that nicotine is still in there and can be addictive and could potentially lead to other tobacco use. And the vapor from these products, we've recently learned, can release nicotine and other cancer-causing chemicals. So while it's not the same as our traditional combustible tobacco secondhand smoke, we know that it's not a harmless water vapor. So it's important to include these in your policy, and that's why you'll see that also in our Gold Star Standards of Excellence. We mentioned earlier the fact that environmental litter is an aspect of how you could potentially pitch your smoke-free policy to your campus, and really as an initiative of your environmental efforts or going green. We've got some data points here to highlight that component that cigarette butts are the most littered item in the United States. In fact, making up nearly 38% of all collected litter in the country, which really, really boggles my mind. But we know that this is something, if we create these smoke-free environments and change that social norm and encourage people to not use tobacco products on the campus, that we can also be reducing this. We've also seen studies from aspect that there can be a lot of cleanup and things related to chew and smokeless tobacco use as well on college campuses. So what is the impact as we take the opportunity to look at this from a tobacco-free college campus standpoint? There's a lot of pros. It really provides a win-win situation for administration, for public health, for student and visitor health. And that starts out by really reducing that exposure to secondhand smoke for all. Also, it supports the healthy social norms that don't include tobacco use. We know that when you create a tobacco-free campus policy, it increases the number of tobacco users who quit and supports those who are trying to quit. And it reduces the initiation of tobacco use among young people. Again, I think it's just so important to remember that fact that 98% of tobacco users start before the age of 26. And this is really a great opportunity to change that social norm and support them to be a tobacco-free generation. While this also has that opportunity to not just address the human physical health, it also can support that healthy environment for your campus by reducing the litter. So given a really brief case of the overview of smoke-free and tobacco-free policies, I think it's important to be able to have some time set aside for our Gold Star Standards of Excellence in the program. But I want to take a second to just highlight what's changed, what's happening around smoke and tobacco-free policies for colleges and universities across the state and the country. This is quickly becoming a norm. Nationally, we've seen more than 1,100 colleges and universities with 100% tobacco-free policies. And what's exciting, and we've seen a real change with this number in the last couple of years, is that 823 of those also include ENDS, or those electronic nicotine delivery systems, in their policies. So that's over 800 colleges and universities across the country. In Maine, we've seen a real commitment to healthy campuses. We've now seen 22 out of Maine's 27 colleges and universities having tobacco-free campus policies. It's really an exciting time and an opportunity for us to celebrate that commitment to addressing wellness. I always like to point back to in 2012, so if we sit 5 years ago, Maine only had 3 colleges and universities that were smoke and tobacco free, and none of those included electronic cigarettes or any of those products. So Maine colleges and universities have really become leaders in addressing these products and creating wellness on their campuses with the constant policy changes. So that really creates our opportunity to want to celebrate that and make sure that we're pushing for best practices within that. So I'm going to turn it over to Meg to talk about the Gold Star Standards of Excellence.
Thank you, Sarah. So, leading into our 2017 Gold Star Standards of Excellence program, for those of you who are new to this, it's an annual program that we have to recognize Maine's colleges and universities for creating and maintaining the tobacco-free environments that support tobacco-free living. So it's a mix of 10 best practice, evidence-based tobacco control standards that schools can meet through written policies and procedures. And this is that opportunity that Sarah just said for Maine schools to be highlighted for leadership in addressing tobacco on campus and in the community. As a part of this program, we will be doing we'll send out press releases, and we give Swiss cheese press releases for schools to be able to really promote their recognition through this program. So some background then from ours is we review the standards annually to make sure that what we're putting out here to schools is best practice standards for policies. And we've notified all the schools in Maine as to when the applications were released and encouraged them to participate. So schools that meet at least 6 of the 10 standards will be recognized at our award celebration in March. And then here on the bottom of the screen is the web address as to where the online application can be found. So now we're going to jump into what the 10 standards are and how you can meet those. So the first standard, and this is the exact language from the application, so I'm not going to read all of these things word for word because some of them are quite long. But the first standard is that 100% smoke and tobacco-free campus policy that prohibits all cigarettes, smokeless tobacco, e-cigarettes, or electronic nicotine delivery systems. Really, this is every product other than those that are approved by the FDA for the purposes of quitting. And this policy would apply to students, faculty, staff, visitors, and contractors. So everywhere on campus, parking lots, buildings, vehicles parked on campus, and all of the properties that a school owns and or rents. So how a school can meet this? So the first standard is providing a written policy that covers all tobacco use across the entire campus. As a part of the application, we want to have schools submit a copy of their current tobacco policy. The online form gives you a place to upload a PDF or a Word document of it. And then you can also write a little sentence here. So we have sample answers in a lot of these from last year's applications. So this one comes from UNE, and their answer that accompanied their policy said that UNE is dedicated to promoting a healthy environment for all faculty, staff, students, and visitors. So on July 1st, UNE had implemented its 100% tobacco-free campus. And it gives a little bit of an explanation as to what their policy covers. Standard number 2 is around policy communication. So this includes written policies or procedures or plans that detail communication about the policy, whether or not you have 100% smoke and tobacco-free campus policy. So how the current policy you have is communicated. So there is a list of strategies on the application, and you'll need to meet at least 3 of them, or other methods that might be happening on your campus, and then provide some documentation as to how the strategies are met. So some of the sample strategies are signage posted in key locations, notification about the policy at new student or new employee orientation, having information accessible on the school's website. So providing documentation is send us a picture of signage that is posted on your campus. I mean, you can take a picture of it with a cell phone or a camera and just upload that image, or submit the link as to where information is available on a school website. We love seeing people that have taken screenshots about social media postings that the campus is doing that help support their policy, and any other verbal or written information that's provided during admissions tours, athletic events, concerts or theater productions, or any kind of event that's happening on your campus. Standard number 3 is policy enforcement procedures. So these are the written policies, procedures, or plans that detail compliance expectations, enforcement, and awareness integration. So again, similar to standard number 2, there's a checklist provided on the application, and you'll need to meet at least 4 of the strategies listed, or a combination of some of those listed or additional methods that are happening on your campus. So some samples here include policy compliance. Expectations are explained at new student and employee orientation. Employee supervisors or student leaders receive training on how to discuss the tobacco use and the campus policy for those seen violating the policy. And the policy defines who's responsible for enforcement and how infractions with students, employees, and or visitors are handled. Standard number 4 is around tobacco education and integration. So this is education about the dangers of tobacco use, exposure to environmental tobacco smoke, and information related to tobacco treatment resources are available through existing trainings, events, and or programs. And this is stuff that we're hopeful that a lot of your campuses are already doing. It's not meant to be extra work, it's just incorporating some tobacco education into things that are already happening. So you'll need to meet at least 4 of the strategies listed or other methods that are happening on campus. We've had some fun things come in and pass from some schools with educational events that are being hosted as a part of a campus-wide wellness fair, and that they've got games and things like that that happen. So it's always kind of fun to see what schools are doing. But some of the sample strategies here, a campus group such as a wellness or tobacco committee is working to increase awareness about the dangers of tobacco use. Training is offered to students and campus community members to discuss tobacco treatment with peers. Campus health center staff is supported to attend training on tobacco use and treatment education so that they can then do some education around tobacco use when they're, if a student's going into the student health center and identified as a tobacco user, that the health center staff can have a brief intervention. Other strategies include treatment and prevention information in existing campus publications, so whether it's like a wellness newsletter or calendar, and then including tobacco use in an athletic code of conduct is another strategy. So standard number 5 is around tobacco treatment benefits. So this is tobacco treatment services are a covered benefit for individuals and their dependents insured through either the student health insurance plan and or employee health insurance plan. So benefits should include coverage for counseling, medication for quitting tobacco with minimal or no barriers to utilization, such as copays or out-of-pocket costs. So with this standard, reducing barriers to quitting can help someone be successful, and we want you to describe what benefits are available for students and employees through the insurance plans. And here's a sample answer from last year's application from Kennebec Valley Community College that says their employee insurance offers coverage for tobacco cessation products by prescription from a physician's office, and it's covered at 100% with no deductible. And that the student health insurance plan also provides covered drug and alcohol dependency. And then they had just provided a handout that came with their insurance provider that explained this as well.
So to continue on, we're going to move into a couple that are really about the promotion and social norm around tobacco. So next, for standard number 6, we're going to highlight the prohibition of tobacco advertising. So, and really making sure that these components are being put into policies or procedures somewhere throughout the organization. So standard number 6 is that the college or university has a policy prohibiting the advertisement of tobacco products, including electronic smoking devices, on the campus, including in advertising in college and university media, such as newspaper, radio, or magazines. So this highlights for this standard the fact that tobacco advertising in any way is really not allowed on campus. So it could include putting up signs, ads in print media, campus newspaper, magazines, or other audio, and making sure that that would not be allowed, especially for the electronic nicotine delivery systems that we know are sort of new products and might be more likely to be promoted. Also for the standard to meet it, we ask that you describe the efforts that are being used to address this tobacco advertising. So a great example from the 2016 Gold Star Standards is from Central Maine Community College, and it says that the college's tobacco-free policy clearly states that the sale, distribution, or advertisement of tobacco products is prohibited. Any such unauthorized activity would be immediately stopped by campus administration and/or security. This is a great example where it was put directly into the tobacco policy as a way to highlight the fact that the school does not support or really tolerate tobacco industry marketing towards their student population. And it actually drives us into, in their one statement, hitting also on both Standard 6 and 7, but which really is about the promotion and distribution. And this is that the college or university has a policy prohibiting the sale, promotion, and/or free distribution of all tobacco products, including electronic nicotine delivery systems and paraphernalia, at all times on campus and at campus-sponsored events, including by any student group or organization. So this is, again, having a policy that's making sure that products are not being distributed or not being marketed or doing something where we are undermining the smoke and tobacco-free policy and that tobacco-free social norm of the campus. So the University of Maine at Presque Isle stated for their answer in 2016, as part of our policy, tobacco products are not sold on campus. And that was listed out as a bullet in their comprehensive smoke and tobacco-free policy. Continuing on, as you can see, sort of our theme here for the second sort of set of standards are really related to industry promotion, marketing, and finances, and making sure that those are not linked to the college or university, which are really based upon recommendations from the American College Health Association. So that leads us to standard number 8, which is related to tobacco funding to campus-supported groups. So it's that the college or university has a policy prohibiting campus-supported organizations or events from accepting donations such as money or goods, which might include tobacco products or e-cigarettes or electronic smoking devices or paraphernalia from tobacco companies or retailers. So this is making sure that your student group or student trip isn't being sponsored or funded in part by the tobacco industry. So this is really that importance of prohibiting donations as well as products. And so our great example that we saw from St. Joseph's College was the fact that they stated the sales and marketing section of our tobacco policy prohibits all campus organizations for accepting or receiving any donations such as money or gifts from companies who are primarily engaged in the sale and promotion of tobacco products. So really making that separation and focusing back on that mission of wellness for the organization. So there's components, they have put this in actually having a sales and marketing section of their tobacco policy to highlight that. And so we've highlighted for really the student groups and that arena about how we want to make sure that there is nothing or any connection or financial interest for the tobacco industry. And then this is really looking at the much broader and larger piece, which is donations to the college or university. And we know that this can be a tough one for schools to meet because really oftentimes it includes getting into those investment policies. But it can be a great thing when you look back at your mission to provide a healthy and safe place to live, work, and play and learn, that you're really disconnecting from the tobacco industry. So the policy for Standard 9 states that you'll have the written policy that you refuse all donations from the tobacco industry and divest from all tobacco industry stock. And so it's providing what the policy or procedure language is for that. This might also be something that is put in through guidelines that are under the investment strategies for the university. So really making sure you're working with your financial office on this to figure out where it can best fit in to make sure that there is a position regarding tobacco industry donations and divesting. And here's a sample answer, which is from the University of Maine and their policy. And it says, through development and fundraising, the university prohibits donations and investments in organizations related to the tobacco industry. Donations are monitored by the development office. So it's a really great piece that they both have information about where in their policies they have this information that it's prohibited, but also who's responsible for maintaining that. Similar to how you want to know who's responsible for enforcing your tobacco policy and who's responsible for it, it's great to know who's working on this, and this is under their development office. So next up in our final of our 10 standards, we got the standard number 10, which is really focusing on our smoke-free social norms and reducing exposure to secondhand smoke, is that the college or university includes information on 100% smoke-free lodging options when providing campus visitors, which could include prospective students, visiting athletic teams, parents who are coming for family weekend, providing them information about smoke-free lodging establishments. As we highlighted earlier in the presentation, the Surgeon General has repeatedly stated that there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke, and the smoke-free lodging will help protect your campus visitors from that secondhand smoke exposure and also really extend the intent of your smoke and tobacco-free policy to where they're staying and where you're promoting for them to stay. What we ask is that colleges and universities who meet this standard provide a lodging list or a web link to maybe where on your website you're supplying visitors with lodging information for your community, and highlight how it shows what is listed as smoke-free. So here's our example from Unity College. And from 2016, they stated, our list of local lodging suggests establishments that have a strict smoke-free policy or are smoke-free. And then on their website, they have a list of all of the lodging accommodations under their visiting Unity section. And you can go on there and visit and see the fact that it highlights that there are smoke-free lodging options. So this is a great way to highlight that and just make sure that those visiting your campus are able to make an informed choice. So that's all 10 of our standards, and I'm going to turn it back over to Meg to talk about some of the tips and continue on.
Thank you. So one of the other pieces of this recognition program is the opportunity to nominate an individual as a Gold Star champion. So this is, if you're looking at the downloadable Word document, it's the very last page. If you're filling out the online application form, the form for this will pop up after you click submit. This is a special acknowledgement for the champions of the smoke and tobacco-free campus policies and lifestyles on your campus. So this is that special person or program or a group or a unique approach that you think should be shared and publicly recognized during our award celebration event in March. So we encourage you to fill this out for somebody who on your campus, and it could be yourself. We have no problems with that because usually we know the person who is the champion of the smoke and tobacco-free policy on their campus is also the person who's filling out this application, and we want to recognize you. So some resources that are available to help you with this. So the application is online, or from there you can download it as a Word document and fill it out and email it in, or you can fill out the online form version. There's a guidance document, which is kind of a printed form of what we have taken you through in the last 45 minutes or so on this webinar. That is also available for download on the website. The link here below is MaineTobaccoFreeCollegeNetwork.org/GSSE. This will get you all of the resources you need for this year's Gold Star Standard of Excellence program. And then we also have some local contacts throughout the state that can help with the application process. If you are having difficulties with this or just want to run it by somebody who might have a better understanding of this, we can help connect you with those people who are in your local area. We have contacts throughout each of the counties in the state. So if you have questions with that, when we get to the very last slide, there will be an email address, and you can just shoot us an email and we'll connect you with the person who can help you out with that. And it's possible that they may be outreaching to you proactively to say, hey, you know, I'm a local contact that can help you with this. What can we do? So important program dates. So we want you to mark your calendar for Friday, March 3rd. That is the date that applications are due. So we need to have them submitted via the online form or emailed to us by that date. We do send an email confirmation when you have either submitted them online or to us via email. And then also mark your calendar for Tuesday, March 28th from 11 to 1 for the awards celebration and networking event that will be held in Augusta at the Bangor Savings Bank that's right near the Senator Inn. And we will also provide lunch. So this is where we do the awards, the presentation of all the awards, and then we have some opportunities for schools to kind of share amongst themselves how things are going on their campus. It's been a really great event the last few years, and it's gotten some really great feedback from schools. So now, questions. So for more information, you can visit the Maine Tobacco Free College Network.org website with the GSSE flash and the address. That will get you directly to the Gold Star Standards Excellence information. Or you can send an email to breatheeasy@mainehealth.org. And then we also would love for you to connect with us online on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. In addition to this webinar being posted on our YouTube page, we'll also post the link on that Gold Star Standards of Excellence page on the Tobacco Free College Network website as well. So we'll see if we have any questions. We'll give it a minute just to see if any come in. Right now we don't have any questions. All right, well, we must have done a great job explaining things. Nobody has any, but either way, you have contact information on your screen here, and we look forward to receiving your applications by March 3rd. Thank you.